Hello everyone, I'm Rose, college student in Taiwan.
Hello everyone, I'm Jack, also a student here.
Have you ever found yourself judging someone before you even spoke to them, maybe assuming the worst without knowing their story?
We've all done it. But what if we told you that a little empathy could change everything?
Welcome to Breaking Barriers, the podcast where we dive into real conversations about understanding, connection, and personal growth.
Today, we're talking about the power of empathy, why it matters, and how practicing it can transform your relationships, your career, and even the way you see yourself.
And trust us, we've had our own struggles with this. Let's get into it.
You know, Rose, I used to think empathy was just about being nice, but I learned the hard way that it's so much deeper than that.
Oh yeah? What changed your perspective?
Well, a few years ago, I had a coworker who always seemed distant, never smiled, barely spoke. I assumed he just didn't like me. Then one day, I found out he was struggling with depression. It hit me how many times had I misjudged someone just because I didn't know what they were going through.
That's powerful. I had a similar wake-up call. In college, I was the quiet one in group projects, and people assumed I didn't care. But really, I was dealing with anxiety. No one ever asked, they just labeled me as lazy.
Right? It's so easy to misinterpret silence or distance as something negative. But when we take a second to ask, what else could be going on here? It changes everything.
We got some great questions from our listeners, so let's dive in.
First up, Taylor from New York asks, how can I be more empathetic when I don't agree with someone's point of view?
Such a great question. I think it starts with listening to understand, not to argue. Instead of waiting for your turn to respond, really try to hear where they're coming from.
Yes. And empathy doesn't mean you have to agree, it just means recognizing that their feelings and experiences are valid, even if you see things differently.
Exactly. Okay, next question, Ravi from San Francisco asks, how do you handle people who refuse to be empathetic toward you?
Oof, that's tough. You can't force someone to be empathetic, but you can protect your energy. If someone constantly dismisses your feelings, it's okay to step back.
Agreed. And sometimes leading by example helps. When people see you practicing empathy, they might start mirroring it.
So how can we build more empathy in our daily lives?
First, pause before you judge. When you catch yourself making an assumption, ask, what else might be going on?
Love that. Second, ask better questions. Instead of saying, what's wrong with them? Try, what might they be struggling with?
And third, practice active listening. Sometimes just making someone feel heard is the most powerful thing you can do.
Empathy isn't about having all the answers, it's about being present and open.
So today we learned that empathy isn't about agreeing, it's about understanding.
And we challenge you this week, try asking one deeper question. You might be surprised at what you learn.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this.
Breaking barriers with open arms. No need for words to show our charms. In every heart there's light and fire. Empathy lifts us higher.